Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome. We're glad to have you back again this week for another great podcast. I told you in this third quarter, my goal was to really find guests that can make a difference in your life, because when you make a difference in your business, you make a difference for your company as well as your personal life. And today, I think we found that guest again that's going to give us some of that information. So as you hear the information, think about what you need and how it can make a big change for not only yourself, but also for your business. And I'm excited to have Daphna with us, and she's going to share with us, what problem will you help them solve today?
So for me, the problem is the problem of being a leader that focuses on who they are being as well as what they're doing. I think that in business, the results are always the main focus. We want to be successful. We want to be profitable. We want to achieve and deliver on what we promise. And at the same time, what's really important to understand is that business and leadership is an inside-out job. And in order to really do well and drive those results and get that performance, you need to understand yourself, and you need to start from inside yourself on this journey. So the problem that I solve is, how do you get that perfect combination of being the leader that you want to be together with getting the results that you want, so that you have an optimal business, life, team, just everything falling into place.
Well, I am excited about this conversation, because this is going to be awesome, because we're talking about those leaders and business owners. You're leaders in your companies, but you're also leaders in your families that you support. So that's so important. So Daphna Horowitz is with us today. She's a sought-after CEO coach, MCC, and she's a trusted advisor working with clients around the globe to create the extraordinary and build future leaders in their business. Working as an actuary at a director level in a large consulting firm, she learned the importance of developing leadership mindset that takes you from being an expert top performer to an extraordinary leader. She keenly understands what it takes to lead businesses and teams in a complex and ever-changing environment like our world is doing now, and it provides a practical approach to leadership. She's an author of Courage to Lead back in 2014, and she has another book out, Weekly Habits for Extraordinary Leaders, that she wrote in 2020. Both considered essential reading for leaders and aspiring leaders. Now, when she's not helping leaders master their mindset and elevate their business, you'll find her in her favorite places, hosting her podcast, Leadership Live, writing articles for various publications, and raising 3 kids with her loving husband. Daphna, it is great to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you, Gary.
Well, I'm really excited about this conversation, because I'm a firm believer, like you, that it comes the leader themselves. When I do some speaking, I always ask the question, who in the room is a leader? And all the time, it's not always the business owners. It may be some staff, and you'll get very few hands raised up. And I tell people, well, it's a little bit of a trick question, because really we're all leaders. First, we're leaders of self. But business owners, it's so important too. So why don't we start with, what kind of would you share with us, because they're thinking, okay, how's this going to apply to me? So the question I'm kind of thinking of is, what got you here won't get you there.
Yes, exactly.
Realize that. So why is that so important, and for really a subject matter that we understand that? And why do we find leadership to be so difficult, do you think?
Yeah, such a great question. And I love that. Firstly, the book by Marshall Goldsmith, but also it's a tagline that I use all the time, because this is what I see in my work with business owners and leaders. Because first, the first question you want to ask yourself as a business owner is, why am I in business? Why did I come into business? And usually the answer would be, Either I wanted to solve a problem that was bothering me and I thought I had a solution, or I love my work, but I wanted that independence of being my own boss, or I had an idea and I wanted to just go with it. And all of those reasons are reasons that come from being really good at what you do, having an idea and being able to kick it off, being an expert in some subject matter that you want to now take and build a business around. And the truth is that being really good at what you do doesn't mean you will then be a good leader. And in order to run a business, you need to be a good leader. You need to think like a CEO. You need to take it a level up from where you got started. In the beginning, yes, you are doing all the things. You are driven by purpose and passion and whatever it is that got you involved in the first place. And at some point, you need to understand that in order to get the growth and the results that you want, you need to take a level up and start behaving, operating, thinking like a leader, a CEO, someone who's got a much broader and higher perspective. And that is a huge challenge. So that what got you here, you get to a certain level of success. But if you want to get even further, what got you to this point is not doing the same thing, is not going to get you to that next level of growth and success that you want in your business. And that requires a different way of looking at things. It requires a different mindset. And I will say it requires working with someone, a coach, a mentor, trusted advisor, someone who can help you see what you can't see.
Yeah, I think that's so important as leaders. I kind of call it where you hit that ceiling of complexity, because for most people, the business outgrows their capability. You can always go back into that, but you have to get help and development. That's why I'm so willing to have other coaches and other people in leadership come on this podcast, because I want them to get help. My thing is, there's so many business owners out there that, to be quite honest, there's not enough coaches that should be able to take care of. But most business owners don't get that help. So I think it's so important. Let's talk about, what do you think for yourself? What are some of those 2 key leadership qualities that you think people need, especially the way the marketplace and the world is changing as we lead into the future? What's some of those key leadership qualities you think they need to have?
Yeah. So for me, there's the ABC of leadership. And I even call it the ABC cubed because I've got 3 C's there. But those are critical qualities for leadership. And the first one is self-awareness, authenticity, being real, understanding who you are, and working from that place. Now, I know that when we use the word authenticity, self-awareness, it can scare a lot of people. It can sound a little bit vague. What is this thing? But the truth is that it's got a very practical slant to it. Because first of all, if you understand your strengths and your weaknesses, you know who you need to hire in order to fill the gaps. You know where you should be spending your time in order to be the most productive. And the, let's say, less tangible, tactical part of it is when you're real and authentic and vulnerable with people, you make better connections, you build better relationships, and that stands your business in good stead. So that's our A. Our B is all about bold moves. When you are running a business, leading a business, being a CEO, you need to sometimes make difficult decisions, have difficult conversations, make bold moves, risky moves that you don't always know what the outcome is going to be. You have to deal with uncertainty. And that is a critical quality to be able to do that. And for me, the driver of that is having a really strong why, understanding why you are in business in the first place, why you came to this place, why it's important to you. Because when the going gets tough, that why is going to see you through some of the really challenging times. And then our C of leadership is the open communication. And that is so important, because I see one challenge that I meet often with the leaders that I work with is that when there's uncertainty, when they don't have all the answers, they tend to stop communicating. And I say the critical thing, there's no such thing as too much communication, because that is what creates solidity and stability in a business. And again, it goes beyond just you and your team, but also to your clients, to your suppliers. If you're going through a tough time, talk about it. Tell them what's going on. Share your fears, anxieties, uncertainties, to a level. You still need to show up as a leader, but you can also share vulnerably what's going on, because if you don't do that, the stories are going to be flying around, the gossip, the conjecture, the assumptions. So that's my C. And then I'll throw in the extra 2 C's if that's okay.
Sure.
And that is connected relationships. So understanding that in my mind, in my experience, the way that I work with people, business is all about relationships. And again, here, real relationships and real connections. When you're able to build those connections with people, clients, suppliers, they will go to bat for you when things are tough, when you hit a challenge and you need their help. And then my third C is about curiosity and being in a continuous learning journey. Because as a leader, you can never stop learning. You can never stop listening. You need to embrace other perspectives, other points of view, even if you think you're right. And this is also something I meet so much with the leaders that I work with. Often very driven, very ambitious, very high achievers, very intelligent people. They know what they're doing, but there's always room for growth. There's always room to be curious about what other people bring in, what other perspectives can be. And that is only going to enhance your leadership skills and your business results as well. That's in a nutshell, my ABC cubed model.
Oh, that is awesome. I love it because the A's, self-awareness, really taking a look at yourself, B, bold moves, and then C, communication with the connected relationships and curiosity. I'm going to go back just a minute to the self-awareness because I love what you said. Some people will call it unique ability, but when you know thyself and you know what your strengths are, the other thing is most business owners, they have to do a lot of things. But the problem is sometimes they don't hire the people that you need that you've talked about there. And that becomes where they get stressed, overwhelmed, burnt out. I don't enjoy this anymore.
Exactly.
They think, oh, I need to get out of it. But that's not really what you have to do. You have to change how you lead, because if you know your self-awareness, you can really start doing the things that you're really good at. And what I tell my
Exactly.
business owners, when you get 70 to 80% of the time you're doing what's in your sweet spot, oh my gosh, that makes it a lot of fun running your business. Plus, what normally happens, the area you're really good at, it's the area that's needed in your business to scale it up, to grow it. And I'm sure you've seen that with leaders too, Daphna.
For sure, for sure. I call it the zone of genius. It's really find your zone of genius and work at that and make sure that you delegate, as you say, 80% of everything that is not in your zone of genius, because that's the stuff that drags you down. And there's a mindset shift there. It's not just, a tactical decision, because it's really hard for us, many leaders, to let go of the stuff that gives them a sense of control. Because when you know what's going on in every aspect of your business and you have a finger in every pie, you feel a sense of certainty and security because it's all up to you. But you cannot manage it all, and it's going to weigh you down, and you'll end up doing the stuff that's really the drudgery of business that doesn't leave you free and open to use your creativity and unique ability and zone of genius for the benefit of the business and the business growth.
Stay tuned with us. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with other great information in just a minute. And now back to the show. Well, I just love that concept, but I think that really plays in as we know this self-awareness and kind of that zone of genius we was talking about is why everything really needs to start with the why. And some of us have heard this, but really it becomes what we call purpose-driven leadership. And there's a purpose behind what we're doing. I'd love to get some of your concepts and your feelings of what you believe with purpose-driven leadership, how that can change things for business owners.
Yeah. So I think that for me, what strikes me with a lot of business owners is, as I said, what is the reason that you came into the business? There is a why that makes you get out of bed and go and build your business every day, because that is hard work. There's a lot of risk around it. You don't know what income you're going to get offered, when you're especially in growth stages or you're trying to scale to a different level. There's a lot of risk and uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen. You may need to invest quite a bit into your business, money into your business to grow it, and it gets hard. So why do you take all of this on? For many people, it's easier to go to work, receive the salary at the end of the month, and there's a lot of safety and security in that, even though I know, even in the job market, there's never 100% certainty, but there's definitely a lot more certainty than we have as business owners. And I think that what the common thing to business owners is the reason that they came to business, your why for wanting to create this. And I think everybody's got a why. It doesn't have to be a massive why. Sometimes there's beautiful whys that are connected to, contributing to the community or serving the world in some way. And I think most of it is linked to doing good in some way, but it's not always clear. And I think when you can connect, or you can articulate the purpose, what is it? What is it that makes you want to do this every day? If you can articulate it in a way that is clear and crisp, then you have something to hang on to when things are really tough. You have something to bring your team together when you're hiring. Doesn't matter who you're hiring. Know that there's a common thread that everybody knows about and is aware of in the business, and that is your why. And why is intrinsically linked to your values, and values are how you operate in the business. And when you have that, it creates the culture for your business to have a strong sense of identity and to really thrive. And yeah, there's some work to be done around articulating it. It's not so obvious from the start, but with a little bit of digging, you can really get that out, tease it out in a way that unites people, brings people together, and makes people want to be part of the business that you're creating, the service that you're offering, whatever it is that you're bringing to the world.
Yeah, I love how you talked about the why. It really allows us to really decide your values for the company, which ultimately becomes your culture that you create within your company. And today, a competitive advantage is having a culture that's different than just people coming in and showing up for work. People want more than that. The generations now are saying they want to know, why are we doing it? What is our purpose for this work? Right. And you may think, oh, what do I have making these widgets? But how does those widgets help other people? How they make a difference? I found out in my company kind of later on in it that one thing that we really started, and we started sharing this, is we wanted to make them better people when they were with us than by the time they left us. Now, I was hoping with the 6, 12, 3, 5 years, whatever it was, I was in the retail wireless industry. So sometimes we didn't get as long with them, but that became kind of our model is, when you come to work for us, we had a lot of young people that came to work, but we did a lot of training and developing with them to make them better people. And now today, I'll be honest, I get to reflect on that because some of them, they've aged just like I've aged a little bit. And they come back and say, man, I appreciate so much the things that we were able to go through and get for the company that we had and stuff. And that becomes so satisfying there.
I love that. And I think it's about being more conscious, right? Conscious about how you approach things and understanding that business is really about people. And if you can make a difference to people's lives as you go about doing your business, then you're bringing the best of everything into it. You're creating something really amazing in the world.
Well, it fits with your C's, the communication and that connected relationships, because today I'm still connected with some of those people and they reach out. And if I see them somewhere, it's kind of nice as a former boss, they don't run from you, like they don't they run towards you. And it makes you feel really good. Oh, I made an impact there. And they made the impact. But we gave them the environment to create the impact. Exactly. And that's what I always tell them all the time is, you were the difference. I got to see one this weekend. It was so awesome and stuff. And she was a great person for us and shared with me what was going on in her life. And she was going to have another grandchild. And she was so excited about share that story. And it was so fun to see that, she wanted to share that story with me. So that becomes, it's more than just you being a leader, you making money. Your business has a purpose there behind it, and that why. Dig into it. Take some time there.
Yeah. And I'd love to just tag onto that because I love the angle that you've put on it, which is also what are you doing for your people, your employees in the business? And I remember a CEO that I worked with, and we did some work on discovering his purpose in his business. And he's a South African CEO who grew up in a rural environment, came from very poor circumstances. And he said that the purpose, his reason, the reason he gets up every day in order to build the business and, manage the risks and the challenges and all of that, is because he wants to create fair and equal and wonderful employment opportunities for people in South Africa, people who came from his background and may not have had opportunities. He wanted to create a work environment. And for me, this is so beautiful, because it really, for him, didn't really matter what the business was about, the content of the business, but rather the context of being able to be an employer in South Africa. And for him, it connected to who he was and how he grew up. And that's just a beautiful purpose to wake up to every morning. So I just think that's a lovely example to also consider in this that's a great story.
Example. It's more than about you. That's the key that we're really talking about here. It becomes about others. Now, I have to ask you this question before we get that time that we got to wrap up, because every time I get a guest, it seems like it goes so fast. But we know we've got busy entrepreneurs that's listening to this podcast, so they only have so much time. But I'm curious, because something I saw in your information, it said, what does climbing Kilimanjaro has to do with leadership? And I've got
amazing
information from you.
So I'll tell you this. I took on the challenge of climbing Kilimanjaro because I'm not a particularly sporty person, and it was a real tough challenge for me, both physically, emotionally, mentally. It's really not an easy thing. And I just did it, and it was hard, and I got to the end. And the truth is, I never intended writing the book or drawing connections with leadership before I set out on this journey. But as I went on the journey, the metaphor between climbing a mountain and leadership became so clear for me. And every story that came out was so clear that there was a parallel for it in the leadership world. So, or what it means to be a leader, both in terms of, as we said, self-leadership, people leadership, business leadership. So I wrote this book, and I think, honestly, the book was a little bit of therapy for me, just to process what I had been through. And at the same time, it was just wonderful for me to make that connection, because as leaders, we have a mountain that we have to climb. There's a big vision of seeing that summit and wanting to reach the end. But the only way we can do it is by taking one small step. The way you get to the summit is just by looking at what's ahead of you. And sometimes, that night of the summit climb was so dark that we couldn't see anything in front of us. All we could see was the next step. And that's so common to leadership. The teamwork that we saw, and every single person having a role on the team to make sure that everybody would get up that mountain, and many more stories, challenges, and going out of your comfort zone and all of that. But it became so clear to me that there's such a parallel in the stories. And we've all got our mountains to climb. And I'm going to connect it to what you said earlier, that we're all leaders and we're all climbing mountains. We've all got a Kilimanjaro. Every single person's got a Kilimanjaro that they're climbing at the moment. So that is leadership. When you understand what your mountain is, you face that challenge and you say, how am I going to do it one step at a time? That already makes you a leader.
Yeah, that is so awesome. I had a lot of respect for you before, but now I've got even more to be able that you climb Kilimanjaro. So that's a great thing. And so cool that you found those other lessons that come with that. And I've seen different stories, and it's not an easy climb at all. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
It's now you're sharing those lessons. So that's so awesome that's there. Now, we're wrapping up on that time, but I always like people to be able to share. Number one, you've kind of got a mindset quiz, and I think mindset is so huge with leadership. And as we're trying to make those change, would you share that, what they can kind of get out of that quiz if they'd like to take it? We're going to have it in show notes. So if they want to click on it and take the mindset quiz, they'll be able to do that.
Awesome. It's one of my favorite things because it's also very surprising for people. So we talk about a growth mindset and a fixed mindset, and really it's based on the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, which she brought this whole concept to life for us that, if we want to grow and be leaders, we need to develop a growth mindset and be allowing ourselves to make mistakes and take the hard road and not be in our safe comfort zone of what we know we'll succeed at, because then, success is guaranteed. It's actually the opposite. So this quiz actually allows you to examine whether you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And I'm going to say it with a bit of a warning label that whenever I've, done it in a workshop and given a group of people to do the quiz, people are often, most of the time, surprised at how much of a fixed mindset they have. So what I've seen is that people come in to take the quiz and they, oh, I've got a growth mindset, I'm very open-minded, because that's not exactly what growth mindset means, right? So they think they've got this growth mindset, but answering the quiz and then realizing, okay, maybe I've got a little bit of a fixed mindset in certain situations, and it's situation dependent, and something you can work with. And as I said right at the beginning, it starts with self-awareness. So I recommend take the quiz, because it will also show you where you might be tending more to a fixed mindset, and start to notice these areas in your work, in your life, where you can start to develop and coax yourself into more of a growth mindset. So really interesting and exciting quiz to take, I will say that.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to take it myself, because I
Cool.
have a feeling there's some things that get fixed in, and I need to change that as my business is changing, and I'm trying to make some of those changes, but sometimes it doesn't change because I'm not changing. So I think
Well,
that
let's chat after that. I'd love to hear your feedback on it.
I'm looking forward to that. Daphne also has a website, DaphnaHorowitz.com. We're going to have it in show notes, so don't worry. You don't have to try to spell it out. Just click on the link in your show notes. It's all available to you. And she's also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We're going to have all those links for you that you can get to it. And that mindset quiz will be a specific link. We'll have it show up there on show notes, so please check that out. But Daphna, before I let you go, I ask every guest this question, and the question is, we've talked about a lot of different things, and it could be one of those things we discussed, or it could be something brand new. But what would be your best business advice for small business owners?
So my best business advice would be, know who you are and make sure that you are working to your strengths, and that you are really real in how you show up in your business. Make sure that you bring yourself the way that you want to be. And maybe I will even fine tune that to say, for business leaders, it's easy to know what not to know, but it's easy to get into action. Maybe not always easy, but that's our comfort zone, is get into action, do the things, and the busier you are and the more activity and action you're taking, the more likely you'll get to results, for sure. At the same time, I would say to ask yourself, who do you want to be in this business that you are leading and building? Who do you want to be as a leader? How do you want to show up to your people, your community, your business, your stakeholders, partners in the business? And then try and bring the two together. The who do I want to be together with what it is that I'm doing, because that brings you to a life of fulfillment and satisfaction and results that actually mean something, rather than being in this treadmill of doing, with the risk of burnout, not always making the clearest decisions, and often failing. And failure is part of it. But if you can build yourself at the same time, then you are just building resilience and driving towards success.
Yeah, what great advice, and what a great time, because we're in that second half of the year. Some of us wanted to make some of those changes earlier in the year, and we've fallen off the wagon. It's time to get back on, tell ourselves, what changes do we need to make? Start with yourself. That's really what today's been, business owners. It's been about you making the change, because when you make the change, you'll make the changes in your company, and you'll see the success and how it'll flourish. And you'll enjoy your business so much more. I'm tired of hearing
Exactly.
business owners, I'm always stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm burnt out, I'm just ready to sell. No, we need those small business owners, because they make the economy thrive. So I really want you to take into this. This has been a great
Yeah.
conversation, Daphne. I can't thank you enough for saying yes.
Thank you.
Join us on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Gary, and a big shout out to those small business owners. I so agree with you on that. You are doing an incredible job for the economy, for your life, for your community, and just keep going, keep at it.
Well, thank you for joining us again. I always give an action at the end of the podcast. I'm going to give you the action is take that mindset quiz. We're going to have it in show notes. We'll have her website there too. So please check out her information. She's got some great information. As you can see, she came to share and educate today. And I love guests that come and openly give to you and make a difference for you. Now, check out those mindset quiz. I'm going to take it. So I challenge you, take the quiz yourself. And then if you've got some question about it, you can go to Daphna's website and she'll be glad to visit with you about that. So come back next week. We're going to try to find another great guest like we had today, but we're going to keep working on this so third quarter we can keep improving our business. Thanks for joining us again today, and we'll see you next week. Make it a great day.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, when you find the right solutions, your business grows, and you get your time back.